What's going on, everyone? So I've talked more and more about Walker Kessler and the Utah Jazz as a potential trade partner because of what they did, right? They signed Kyle Filipowski to a 4-year deal. They have several centers already on the roster. They just re-signed Lauri Markkanen. They still have John Collins, right? Like, you start going down the roster list and it's just like they have too many players at the power forward and center position. They either have to unload guys, and also their roster, they keep giving guys guaranteed deal. They just gave, like, who is it, Patty Mills guaranteed deal and stuff like that. So, like, again, they just keep signing guys. At some point, they're going to have to start trading guys and cutting guys and waiving guys. It's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out. Now, I don't think that they're just going to give Walker Kessler away. I've even made the argument about trading, like, a Dalton Connect for a Walker Kessler. Like, can you do a swap like that, right? Where it's like, hey, you have a need for perimeter guys and wings. We have a need for a center. Easy swap, right? You get a guy in a Dalton Connect. We get a guy in Walker Kessler. So we get a position of need that solves, that's still young, that could be a player for now and the future, would get much more playing time, more likely than Dalton Connect. Because there is a question of, like, where do you slot Dalton Connect in, right? The roster currently constructed, no trades, right? You look at Dalton Connect, it's like, okay, well, your guard, your two is Austin Reeves and Max Christie, right? Because that's the whole idea, is to get him playing better. And then your three is Rui Hachimura and Jared Vanderbilt. Where does Dalton Connect fit in and play, right? So unless a trade gets done, then you might not get that. Now, I know some people might not want that. My thinking is, like, you can't miss what you don't have, right? He hasn't played yet. Like, we don't know what he could be. At least Kessler is proven. He's a guy that has shown. But the problem is that he's probably going to be pricey. Walker Kessler is probably a guy that you're going to have to pay a pretty penny for, right? I don't think it's going to be a cheap, acquisition type thing. Player-wise, right? Because he's only making like $3 million. So it's easy. I mean, you could swap, Jackson Hayes and go get him, right? So to me, if you can get Kessler, that's great. But you need other pieces, right? It can't just be Walker Kessler. It has to be Walker Kessler and adding Walker Kessler's team. Yes, I do think makes us slightly better, but I don't think it makes us so much better that, like, oh, that's it, we're good. We can give up all of our firsts for that. But if you were to get another guy that has an even higher ceiling raiser and could be a guy that really just, by himself could potentially make us a contender, and then you go get Walker Kessler, boom, now I think that ceiling's raised. And that's where I think Zach Lavine and Walker Kessler should be the Lakers' answer, right? Jeremy Grant, I'm all for Jeremy Grant, right? I would love a Wendell Carter Jr., I'd love a Bruce Brown, Cam Johnson. There's several guys that I'd like. None of those guys raise the ceiling and the potential that Zach Lavine does. Look at the Olympic team. Look at what scorers were able to do alongside LeBron James and Anthony Davis. Now, obviously, Zach Lavine isn't Steph Curry or Anthony Edwards or anything like that, but he's still, when he's on and cooking, as good as it gets, he'd immediately be our best natural scorer. Natural scorer. He'd be our best natural scorer, right? He'd also be immediately our third best player by a margin, right? And he's a guy that could take so much pressure off of LeBron and AD. He provides rim pressure. He provides athleticism out on the perimeter. He's a guy that will get you 20 plus a night. He's one of the best catch and shoot 3-point shooters in the league, right? Like, you talk about a guy that just would fit in beautifully alongside LeBron James and Anthony Davis. And I've been big on the Zach Lavine wagon. Big. I keep making videos, keep talking about Zach Lavine because I'm trying to put it out into the ether, put it out into the universe, right? Hoping it gets done. But Zach Lavine doesn't cost you anything, right? It costs you players. Like, you'd have to trade D'Lo, Rui, and Gabe Vincent to go get Zach Lavine. But you get to keep all your picks. So you could bring in Zach Lavine and then easily just go get Walker Kessler. There you go. Now you're in business, right? Give me Walker Kessler and Zach Lavine and give up whatever you have to get. I just think that that's a much better unit. I think that's just a far better thing. And you still have, like, Jared Vanderbilt. You could go, your starting five could be, Austin Reeves, Zach Lavine, Jared Vanderbilt, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis. I think that's a contending five. And then you also would still have guys like Max Christie, Dalton Connect. You'd still have, like Jackson Hayes maybe, or Christian Wood, one of those two, right? 'Cause you're probably trading one to go get him, right? Like, you still have several people, Jalen Hood-Schifino, right? You still have several guys. You could free up some roster spots. You could bring some guys in on cheap, right? I just think your roster would be just much better. Now I think you have, 5 legit starting guys that all can compete with anybody in the league, including Denver and Boston and all that, right? Because Zach Lavine and just the firepower he gives you would be ridiculous. And then I think now you have a nice young core off the bench and Max Christie, Dalton Connect, Jalen Hood-Schifino, Walker Kessler. Like I said, maybe you keep Christian Wood, right? Like, there you go. You could have point guard Jalen Hood-Schifino, which do have concerns as him as a backup point guard, but you have him, Max Christie, Dalton Connect, Christian Wood, Walker Kessler. You got a nice youth and nice injection of just young talent paired with some veteran and just skilled positions. You got athleticism now out on the perimeter with Zach Lavine as well as Jared Vanderbilt, right? Zach Lavine, when he's engaged defensively, is a very good defender. Problem is it's getting him engaged and it's him like staying focused. But also if he doesn't have as big of an offensive workload and as big of a workload period, maybe you can hone him in better defensively. Also, he'd probably be energized and excited and feel better about playing for the Lakers than Chicago, where it's like, he wants out. Chicago wants to get rid of him. It's just like, it's a disaster over there for those guys, right? So coming to Lakers would be a fresh start. He'd be excited. So I could see him buying in and engaging more. Now, there are concerns about the injuries and all that stuff, but there's concerns with all these guys, right? Like Jeremy Grant, Cam Johnson, like all these guys, right? But none of those guys raise the ceiling in the way that a Zach Lavine could potentially raise the ceiling. Zach Lavine coming in, if we had Zach Lavine in the Denver series, we'd probably beat Denver. Like, I think we do. If not, it's really close, right? Because, and like, look at the guys you'd be trading. You'd be trading D'Angelo Russell, Rui Hachimura, and Gabe Vincent, right? D'Angelo Russell was good in half the games. Austin Reeves didn't show up till game 4. And then Rui Hachimura, or not Austin Reeves, Austin Reeves didn't show up till game 4. I was going to touch on Austin Reeves, but Gabe Vincent didn't even play, wasn't even there, right? Like, and then Rui Hachimura might as well have not played. He was completely irrelevant. And then Austin Reeves, like I said, Austin Reeves didn't show up till game 4, right? So if you had Zach Lavine in place of Rui Hachimura, D'Angelo Russell, and Gabe Vincent, you don't think we would have won the game? We were up 20. You don't think we would have won some of those other tight games? You would have just had another scorer that you could have relied on and went and got buckets? Like, of course, right? I love the idea of Zach Lavine. Now, are there concerns about his salary? Yes, but there's a reason you'd be able to get him for free, right? To me, it's not you're just getting Zach Lavine. It's you're getting Zach Lavine plus something else, right? And even if it's not Walker Kessler, it could be, another piece. But I just like the idea of Walker Kessler as your center for now and the future, right? So to me, it's like, people look at it just literally, but we're trading all this just to get Zach Lavine. Yes, but by getting Zach Lavine, you can now go get other things and still raise the ceiling higher than anyone else, right? So yes, there's risks with Zach Lavine, of course, but there's risks with everybody. I mean, Giannis hasn't even been healthy the last few years. Lakers could go and trade for Giannis right now, and it would still be a risk. Steph Curry, right? There's all this talk about Steph Curry. Lakers could go and trade for Steph Curry right now, and he hasn't been a model of health the last few years. LeBron James and Anthony Davis were incredibly healthy last year. Knock on wood. Hopefully that stays that way this year. But there's concerns with it. There's concerns with everybody. The days of guys playing 82 or stars playing 82 games, it's gone. Right? The guys that usually play 82 games are like, the higher end mid-tier guys, like a Mikal Bridges to like guys, role guys like Austin Reeves, stuff like that, right? Like the days of there's a reason the NBA made the threshold 65 games. It's because that was the average. Like that's where most players are playing, around 65 to 70 games. So as long as Zach Lavine plays 65 to 70 games, we're good. His contract isn't that big of a deal. Right? Also, LeBron James can always restructure his contract next season, right? So, but you get Zach Lavine, right? You get him, is $40 million. The new TV deal's kicking in, so his contract is going to be so much more, digestible, manageable because of the new TV deal, right? And then on top of that, right, his injury history again, he played 77 games and 67 games the 2 years prior. And then on top of that, yes, he only played 25 games last year, but he was supposed to finish the season until the Detroit rumors started. And then when the Detroit rumors started, he was like, nah, get me out of here. Like, I'm not doing that. I just think if you get Zach Lavine and you get Walker Kessler, you solve your biggest need at center, or one of your biggest needs at center. I still think perimeter, like a 3-and-D guy would be great, but you solve your need at center, and then you solve your problem with a consistent third option, third star level guy who also gives you athleticism out on the perimeter. I just think it's a no-brainer, right? Go get Zach Lavine, then use your assets to go get Walker Kessler. And now you got Walker Kessler, Zach Lavine. Like I said, you got a nice young core for the future. And Jalen Hood-Schifino, Max Christie, Dalton Connect, Walker Kessler, right? Those are your four young guys. You do have Maxwell Lewis, stuff like that, but your main four guys that I think would actually get playing time at that point are those four guys. Like I said, you probably maybe keep Christian Wood, but he's older, right? So talk about those four young guys that now get to actually get a role off the bench, actually get opportunity off the bench to help expedite their development, which the Lakers are so adamant about development. Okay, well, there you go. You free up the spots for the young guys to start playing and actually playing a significant role. And then you also have a good enough starting five to where you can mitigate the questions and concerns of a youthful bench, right? But also that youth and injection could potentially go a long way. Can Max Christie actually take that step, right? Can Dalton Connect really be an impact guy right out the gate, right? Can, Jalen Hood-Schifino handle, 15 minutes a game in a backup point guard role, right? Walker Kessler, we've seen what he could do, and, he's a basically double-double guy, just shy. I think he could easily be a double-double guy for the Lakers. Plus, he's a guy that can make plays, stretch the floor, shown the ability to stretch the floor. You got young core. You got your big guys now. Also, Zach Lavine lines up with LeBron and AD. So when they leave, you just have this influx of cash, and you also have all these young guys. I just think it's a win-win for the Lakers. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you like the idea of going and, go get Zach Lavine, go get Walker Kessler? Is that the answer? Do you think no, shouldn't do a trade either? I don't like Zach Lavine. I feel whatever your thoughts are. Love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. Lets me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.